Malaysia committed to enhancing connectivity cooperation among ASEAN members. Trump claims US and China in trade talks. Hello, good afternoon and Salam Malaysia Madani. Thanks for joining us. I'm Shuhaida Arifin and you're watching World Today. Malaysia, as the ASEAN chair for 2025, is committed to enhancing connectivity and regional cooperation among ASEAN member states. Prime Minister Datuk Seri Anwar Ibrahim also emphasised Malaysia's dedication to attracting sustainable investments that deliver positive spillover effects over the national economy. He said Malaysia is guided by robust economic policies, including the new Industrial Master Plan and IMP 2030, the National Semiconductor Strategy NSS, and the Green Investment Strategy GIS. Datuk Seri Anwar said these initiatives aim to create high-skilled job opportunities and enhance local supply chain capabilities to meet the evolving demands of Malaysia's key sector. The Prime Minister highlighted Malaysia as an ideal destination for investments in sectors such as electrical and electronic E&E, automotive, electric vehicles, chemicals, advanced materials, the digital economy, renewable energy, carbon capture, utilization and storage, aerospace, pharmaceuticals and medical devices. Datuk Seri Anwar held a one-on-one meeting with Thai industry leaders, including Thai Charoen Corp Group CEO Tapana Sirivadana Bhakdi, Minor International Group founder and chairman William L. Wood Henneke, and PTT Public Company Limited CEO and President Dr. Kongkrapan Intarajang. Chinese President Xi Jinping met Cambodia's Senate President Hun Sen Thursday afternoon during his two-day state visit, the last of a three-nation tour which also included Vietnam and Malaysia. Cambodia's government late Thursday said that the two countries signed 37 documents during Xi's visit, including on investment, trade and finance, but did not elaborate on content and on whether they entailed binding or financial commitments. Hun Sen, a former long-time Prime Minister, said on Facebook after meeting Xi that the Chinese leader had told him he supported the building of the 180-kilometre Funan Tackled Canal, the country's most ambitious infrastructure project. Cambodia has said China would pay for the canal, which would run from the Mekong River from a site near Phnom Penh to the coast of the Gulf of Thailand, diverting water from the fragile rice-growing Mekong Delta and reducing Cambodian shipping through Vietnamese ports. However, China has made no public financial commitment to the project. Xi has extolled the positive economic impact of past Chinese infrastructure projects during an interview with Cambodian media and pledged to continue to unswervingly support Cambodia's development, but mentioned no new specific project in his statements on Thursday. President Donald Trump on Thursday said that China has reached out to talk since the US imposed tariffs on imports from the country. Trump added he would delay a deal on TikTok until the trade issue with China is worked out. Met by reporters at the Oval Office, he said US tariff on Chinese goods might not go higher and may even go lower.
I have a very good relationship with President Xi, and I think it's going to continue. And I would say they have reached out a number of times.
Xi or they?
Well, the same. I view it very similar. It would be top levels of China.
He expressed confidence that the countries, the world's two largest economies, would reach a deal to end what has been a bitter trade war. Earlier on Thursday, China's Commerce Ministry urged the United States to stop putting extreme pressure on the world's second largest economy and demanded respect in any trade talks. While Trump has temporarily relaxed his recently announced hefty tariffs on goods from dozens of trading partners, he left in place his new import levies on Chinese goods that sum together total 145%. NVIDIA CEO and founder Jensen Huang pledged on Thursday to make significant efforts to serve the Chinese market, where the chipmaker has maintained a presence for the past 30 years. Huang made the commitment during a meeting with Ren Hongbin, chairman of the China Council for the Promotion of International Trade (CCPIT) in Beijing. During the meeting, Huang emphasized that China is a very important market for NVIDIA and expressed the company's willingness to continue cooperation with China. His vow comes at a time when the Trump administration has recently tightened chip export rules to China amid the global race for AI dominance.
The increased restriction has impacted our company significantly.
Grown up in China, in fact. China has watched us grow in the last 30 years. Of course, it's a very large country. Our interactions and working and serving the Chinese companies here, and so it's made us both better. And so we're going to continue to make significant effort to optimize our products that are compliant with the regulations and continue to serve the Chinese market.
This marks Huang's second visit to Beijing in 3 months. It came after the U.S. government limited exports of NVIDIA's H20 artificial intelligence chip to China, a key market for one of its most popular chips. Students and faculty at the University of California, Berkeley turned out on campus on Thursday to protest against U.S. President Donald Trump's education cuts and threats to universities with the likes of Harvard and Columbia. Professor of Public Policy at the University, Robert R. Wright, told the crowd that tyranny cannot exist unless the people submit to it. The rally was titled Rise Up for Education, summarizing that they will not allow them to be threatened for exercising their First Amendment rights.
Now, if the best or near best private university in America or the world can say no, if it can defy the Trump regime, even at the expense, at a big expense, and I'll get into this in a moment, if it can do that, then the best public university in America and the world must do the same.
Lecturer Matthew Parker, among others, at the protest said that he believes the constitutional rights that cannot be taken away, at least in theory. Student Sam Kaplan-Patus said after the rally that it is a fight to win all fights and there is a need to show up in a way that is more powerful and more abundant than in the past. Ukraine and the United States on Thursday signed a memorandum of intent to move forward with a fraud deal for U.S. access to Kiev's natural resources and critical minerals. Ukraine's first Deputy Prime Minister Yulia Sridenko said this also paves the way for an economic partnership agreement and the establishment of the investment fund for the reconstruction of Ukraine. Kiev and Washington had planned to sign a deal on extracting Ukraine's strategic minerals weeks ago, but a clash between Presidents Donald Trump and Volodymyr Zelensky in February temporarily derailed work on the agreement. Trump wants the deal designed to give the U.S. royalty payments on profits from Ukrainian mining of resources and rare minerals as compensation for aid given to Ukraine by his predecessor Joe Biden. Svidenko did not publish details on the memorandum, but said work continued towards securing a final agreement. U.S. officials say boosting American business interest in Ukraine will help deter Russia from future aggression in the event of a ceasefire. Kiev is also pushing for concrete military and security guarantees as part of any deal to halt the 3-year war. The Palestinian group Hamas on Thursday said it is ready to immediately begin negotiations with Israel on a comprehensive deal to release all Israeli hostages in exchange for a complete ceasefire and full withdrawal of Israeli forces from the Gaza Strip. Khalil al-Hayya, the head of Hamas in Gaza and the group's chief negotiator, said partial agreements on Gaza serve only as political cover for Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu's agenda of continued war, genocide and starvation. He affirmed Hamas' readiness for a full-scale agreement. Al-Hayat welcomed remarks by Adam Boehler, the U.S. Special Envoy for Hostage Affairs, who earlier on Thursday expressed his support for ending both of the hostage issue and the war as a single package. Al-Hayat also called for immediate international intervention to end the Israeli blockade on Gaza, warning that over 2 million people in Gaza are being subjected to genocide by starvation. More than 51,000 Palestinians have been killed in Gaza in a brutal Israeli onslaught since October 2023, most of them women and children. Up next, at least 4 dead after dredging vessel capsizes off Philippines.
Is it difficult for you, for a Chinese guy playing the sitar?
A deputy sheriff's son killed 2 people and wounded 4 others at Florida State University on Thursday before he was shot by officers and hospitalized. Police believe the gunman, the son of a Leon County Sheriff's deputy, acted alone and a motive was not known. The suspect had access to his mother's handgun, which was once her service weapon. She bought it from the department and now serves as a personal firearm. The 20-year-old suspect, identified as Phoenix Ickner, was believed to be a student at FSU in the state capital of Tallahassee. The 2 people who were killed were not students. The shooting started about 11:50 a.m. local time near the Student Union building on the FSU campus. Students and faculty were told to shelter in place as police responded, with more than 42,000 students attending classes at the main campuses. Moving on to our next news, the search and rescue operations are continuing after a vessel capsized off Barangay Malawan in the Philippines. The Philippine Coast Guard reported the sand carriers Hong Hai 16 capsized during the evening of 15 April. It was reported that at least 4 people, including a Chinese national, were killed in the incident. At the time of the incident, it was carrying a crew of 25, comprising of 13 Filipinos and 12 Chinese. Of those, 14 have been rescued, 2 bodies have been recovered, and 9 remain missing. Initial dives on the vessel showed it remains upright but partially submerged, and there is a possibility that crew remain trapped in the engine room. The Coast Guard said it remains on scene and fully committed to ensuring the safety of all individuals involved, while also preparing for any potential environmental impact. Initial reports indicate the vessel was carrying an estimated 2,000 litres of lube oil and 30,000 litres of automotive diesel oil. Given that diesel is classified as non-persistent, the PCG said it is expected to dissipate naturally due to prevailing wind and wave conditions. At this time, it added that no immediate environmental threats have been identified. 4 people were killed after a cable car cabin plunged to the ground near Naples in southern Italy on Thursday. The cable car cabin crashed in extreme weather on Mount Faito near Sorrento, citing the Italian national news agency ANSA. Another person was seriously injured in the accident and was moved to hospital, rescuers were quoted as saying. Several Italian media reports said one of the cables supporting the cabin had snapped. 16 other passengers were rescued from a separate cable car that was stuck mid-air near the foot of the mountain. They were evacuated one by one in a difficult operation using harnesses. Vincenzo De Luca, head of the campaign region around Naples, said the rescue operations were affected by fog and winds. Italy's search and rescue authorities immediately responded to the incident. The cable car had just reopened for this summer season, and prosecutors said they have launched an investigation into the accident. In 2021, 14 people died in Italy when a cable car linking to the northern Lake Maggiore with a nearby mountain plunged to the ground. Colombia has declared a national health and economic emergency over a deadly yellow fever outbreak, with the government urging people to get vaccinated and take precautions while travelling over Easter weekend. The mosquito-borne virus, which typically causes fever, muscle pains, nausea and headaches, is endemic to multiple countries in South America, including Colombia, where the current outbreak has had a high mortality rate. Minister of Health Guillermo Jaramillo said at least 34 people had died among 74 confirmed cases since the start of the year. He said the virus has also spread beyond the rural regions, traditionally considered at risk for outbreaks, making it a threat to more communities. According to Jaramillo, most severe situation is in the coffee-growing Tolima area, where the number of detected yellow fever cases rose from 4 in September 2024 to 22 by mid-April. Colombia's President Gustavo Petro announced an economic emergency on top of the health decree and called on citizens to get vaccinated. Petro blamed climate change for further spreading of the virus by bringing the disease-carrying Aedes aegypti mosquitoes to higher altitudes. The number of foreign visitors to Japan in March rose 13.5% from a year earlier to a record 3.5 million for the month, official data showed, underscoring the continued strength of the country's tourism boom. Foreign travelers spending total 2.3 trillion yen or 16 billion US dollar in the 3 months from January, up 28.4% from the same period last year, driven by higher expenditures on food and accommodation, preliminary figures from the Japan Tourism Agency showed. According to the government-affiliated Japan National Tourism Organization, cumulative visitor numbers for 2025 reached 10.5 million in the quarter through March, up 23.1%, marking the fastest pace on record to surpass 10 million. The organization said travel demand to Japan grew in March with the start of the cherry blossom season. By country and region, South Korea led in visitor numbers with 691,700 people, up 4.3%, followed by China, which posted a 46.2% rise to 661,700 people. The sharp depreciation of the yen against other major currencies, especially the US dollar, has made Japan more attractive to foreigners, with the country welcoming a record 36.87 million people in 2024. The head of Myanmar's military junta, General Min Aung Hlaing, has granted amnesty to over 4,900 prisoners to mark the country's traditional New Year. At least 19 buses carrying prisoners left Yangon's insane prison and were welcomed outside the gate by family members and friends who had been waiting yesterday. Political Prisoners Network Myanmar, an independent watchdog group that records violations of human rights in Myanmar's prisons, said in a statement that by its initial count, 22 political prisoners had been released. 13 foreigners will also be released and deported from the country. Other prisoners receive reduced sentences, except for those convicted of serious charges, such as murder and rape, or those jailed on charges under various other security acts. According to the terms of their release, if the freed detainees violate the law again, they will have to serve the remainder of their original sentences, in addition to any new sentence. Mass amnesties on the holidays are not unusual in Myanmar. Myanmar has been under military rule since February 2021, when its army ousted civilian leader Aung San Suu Kyi's elected government. That takeover was met with massive non-violent resistance, which has since morphed into a widespread armed struggle. Coming up, Van Dijk signs a new contract with Liverpool. Al-Fateh delivered a major upset in the Saudi League title race on Thursday, defeating league leaders Al-Ittihad 2-0 in a match week 28 to inject a fresh hope into Al-Hilal's championship bid. The result leaves Al-Ittihad on 65 points, just 4 ahead of second place Al-Hilal, with 6 rounds remaining in the season.
To attack, square to Sabah.
Amin Al-Sabai opened the scoring in the 10th minute, capitalizing on a shaky defense moment from the visitors. Matias Vargas doubled the advantage midway through the second half, with a composed finish in the 69th minute, sealing Al-Fatih's most important win of the season. Al-Ittihad struggled to find a rhythm and were left frustrated throughout, despite several efforts from striker Karim Benzema, who was denied repeatedly by Al-Fatih's organised backline and goalkeeper. For Al-Fateh, the victory was just as significant. The win moves them up to 29 points and into 13th place, giving the Eastern Province club a critical boost in their battle to avoid relegation to the First Division. Santos forward Neymar left the field in tears after injuring his leg just 34 minutes into his first start in the Brazilian Serie A Championship this season. The 33-year-old, who returned from 6 weeks out with a thigh injury against Fluminense on Sunday, was handed a start against Atletico MG on Thursday. The former Barcelona forward was wearing a special shirt to commemorate his 100th appearances at Santos Villa Belmiro Stadium. But after gesturing towards the bench following Alvaro Barrel's goal to put the home side to 2-0 up, Neymar sat on the field to await medical attention. It was quickly decided that he could not continue, and a clearly emotional Neymar was taken off the field on a buggy, holding the left thigh area that had kept him out for the previous 6 weeks. The former Paris Saint-Germain forward has made 8 appearances for Santos and scored 3 goals since returning to the club from Saudi Arabian club Al Hilal. Neymar, Brazil's record scorer, has not played for the national side since October 2023 when he tore his anterior cruciate ligament. The forward was named in Brazil's squad for the World Cup qualifiers against Argentina and Colombia, but was forced to withdraw following injury. Liverpool skipper Virgil van Dijk has extended his contract with the Dutch centre-back, signing to stay at Anfield until 2027, the Premier League club said on Thursday, ending a protracted saga that had dragged on for several months. Van Dijk, who joined Liverpool in 2017 for a world record fee for a defender, reported to be £75 million, have been the bedrock of a defence that has helped them win numerous trophies, including a first Premier League title. Van Dijk follows Egypt striker Mohamed Salah in signing an extension after the winger committed to the club until 2027, giving manager Arne Slot a huge boost, and Liverpool can now turn their focus to bringing in reinforcements in the close season. Recruited when Jurgen Klopp was in charge at Anfield, Van Dijk immediately established himself as the cornerstone of a backline that had been leaking goals to turn Liverpool into genuine title contenders in the following seasons. While a colossus at the end of the pitch, he was also a threat at the other with 24 Premier League goals, more than any central defender since he made his top-flight debut with Southampton in 2015. The runaway leaders are 2 wins away from clinching a second Premier League title, as Slot's side stand 13 points clear of second-place Arsenal with 6 games left. Carlos Alcaraz overcame a second-set wobble to defeat Laslo Djere 6-2, 6-4 on Thursday and reached the Barcelona Open quarter-finals. The world number 2 stepped up a gear from his first-round win over Ethan Quinn to dispatch his 80th-ranked opponent on the Catalan clay as he prepares for his French Open title defense. Alcaraz, who triumphed at the Monte Carlo Masters last week, has had an inconsistent start to the year and in March fell at the first hurdle in the Miami Open. Home favourite Alcaraz saved both break points he faced in the first set stroll when Gerard unable to produce a single winner to the Spaniard's 8. The four-time Grand Slam winner won 5 games straight to claim a 5-1 first set lead and sealed it with a second set point. In the second set, Gerard offered more of a fight and even broke for a 4-2 lead, but Alcaraz bounced back quickly. Gerard could not handle the Spaniard in full flow and crumbled away as Alcaraz won the final 4 games to triumph, sealing his win when the Serb pushed a shot into the net. Meanwhile, Alex de Minaur continued his superb clay court form to set up a mouth-watering quarter-final showdown with Alcaraz. Australian star de Minaur proved his credentials on the red surface on Thursday, powering to a 6-1, 6-2 victory over Great Britain's Jacob Fernley in just 62 minutes. The big-hitting fifth seed did not look back after breaking in the opening game, with Fernley unable to make much of an impression on his opponent's serve, winning just 3 of 23 points. And this latest win has propelled the 26-year-old into his 50th tour-level quarter-final. He will now face world number 2, Alcaraz. The French Open will pay tribute to record 14 times champion Rafael Nadal on the opening day of the Grand Slam next month, a year after the Spaniard played his final match on the clay of Roland Garros. Nadal fell to his earliest French Open exit after a first-round defeat by Alexander Zverev last year, but did not say then if it was the last time that his adoring Parisian fans would watch him in action at the major. The 22 Grand Slam champion eventually called time on his glittering career after representing Spain in the Davis Cup in November and will now return to his happiest hunting ground for a grand celebration of his achievements. The French Open said it will also honour its 2000 Women's Champion Mary Pierce as well as fellow local favourite Richard Gasquet, who will retire after the tournament this year. The total prize pool for the 25th May to 8 June tournament has been set at €56.352 million, up 5.21% from 2024. Meanwhile, French Tennis Federation chief Gilles Moretin said the Grand Slam would not break tradition and replace line judges with electronic line calling, despite the other majors embracing the technology more widely. All right, so that concludes today's edition of World Today. In our top story, Malaysia committed to enhancing connectivity, cooperation among ASEAN members. Till then, I'm Shuhaida Arifin from River to the Sea. Palestine will be free. Thank you for watching.